What up my MMA homies? Before you can even slip and dodge my last video, I'm back again to hit you with another study. This was a masterful performance by Dustin, his best fight to date. Conor got hit hard with a right hook, several times in the fight. Once in round 1, and another time in the second round when Conor was spamming his left hand. That immediately led to Conor retreating and trapped against the cage, with Dustin swarming. Conor was still dangerous though with his left shoulder cocked, ready to counter while slipping. In the end though, Dustin tagged him again with a right hook, and put him out for the night. Now, this was an unexpected result, brought about by a mix of improved boxing skills, and smart strategy by Dustin. I thought based on his past performances, Dustin was going to be the inferior counter-puncher. However, in the pocket, he surprised big to the upside. Let's study the two key factors responsible for this. As I was saying in my preview video, Conor was vulnerable to a right hook. Conor is himself open to some kind of right hook, once he throws his left, but Dustin doesn't appear to be that kind of fighter, and will probably be looking to cover and flee, allowing Conor to keep using this left counter unpunished. Turns out, Dustin came in clearly ready to counter.
The game plan was to not be heavy on my feet and throw power shots and box.
The goal was to be technical and to pick my shots, not brawl at all. I have a tendency of just getting crazy and trying to hurt guys and getting very out of position and getting myself in trouble that I shouldn't be. I think I showed a little bit of counterboxing here.
This time, rather than block and flee, we saw Dustin stand his ground with improved slips, less shelling, and clearly ready to throw a hook, after Conor's left. He still wasn't the most polished at countering, but nonetheless, he made the decision to stand his ground, and try catch Conor in the pocket. However, I also said in my preview, Conor's mobility would be an issue. Theoretically, even if Dustin is ready to stay in the pocket and recounter, Conor is not flat-footed, even when put on his front foot after throwing his left.
We knew his timing on the counter two was some of the best in the game, but I just don't give a man. I'm here to win.
Dustin came in with several strategies.
The game plan was to kick and wrestle and box, to mix it up and make it a mixed martial arts fight.
The one that really paid dividends though, was calf kicks.
Mike Brown was real big on me throwing calf kicks this fight. Really big on it. Really wanted me to, and it worked, man. You know, we compromised his leg, and he was in a bad position early.
Conor also acknowledges this was a huge factor in the fight.
My leg is completely dead and it was badly compromised.
Now, I have actually mentioned in this preview how leg kicks could be a good tactic against Conor. Leg kicks could be a good way to upset Conor's timing and balance. Indeed, Eddie Alvarez tried kicking Conor's lead leg early in round 1. Being able to transfer his weight between his back and front foot is the secret to Conor's power and mobility. If you can disrupt his ability to plant his feet, Conor's countering game can be thrown off. Problem is, Conor is pretty good at checking kicks himself. Good enough that Eddie abandoned this tactic early after hurting his foot from a check. Conor spent an entire camp getting ready for a low kick war. In his rematch with Nate Diaz, and Nate's own counter low kicks were mostly met with the blade of Conor's shin. However, I didn't think they would be a factor, because Conor typically either dodges with his speed, or checks them. However, Dustin is a different kind of leg kicker, and while Conor was turning his shin out on many of these kicks, he wasn't checking them all.
Maybe I should ask Mike this, but why did he think calf kicks were going to be such a key against Conor?
Mike, why did you think calf kicks were going to be such a key against it? I kick hard in Conor's wide stance. We thought it would be hard to check, and I started kicking through his check because he wasn't checking correctly. It was still the muscle part of his calf. He wasn't turning his shin all the way outward, so it wasn't shin to shin. Even when he checked, he was getting the bad part of the kick. And I know from experience, I've been crippled with those kicks from Jim Miller. I've been hurt with them a few times. The swelling in your calf, it has nowhere to go. It's not like a thigh where it can spread out all over. That's when you have compartment syndrome. The swelling gets stuck in pockets, and it's so painful.
By round 2, Conor clearly could not push off his front foot like he normally does. He started staying at the pocket to spam his left, looking to finish Dustin quickly, and kudos to Dustin's improved slips and countering. He finally landed that clean right hook on Conor which wilted him. Conor looked sharp early on, but he clearly wasn't ready for a low kick battle. And Dustin showed good fight IQ, from switching strategies to doubling down on leg kicks once he realized Conor was compromised. As a point of interest, could Conor's coaches have seen this leg kick strategy coming? Hard to say. But here's some interesting trivia for you conspiracy theorists out there. Check out this fight from 3 months ago. A rematch between Kyoji Horiguchi and Kai Asakura, who is also coached by Mike Brown.
Maybe calf, maybe low.
まずは中央堀口ローキックおっと
ちょっと盲点だったな。
Landed the first one so solid, I knew Kai had to make like a major adjustment or he was going to be in big trouble.
Now, here's what's even more eerie. Remember this sequence, which causes Conor to completely wilt. He's not just getting hooked, but he ate a leg kick as he was stepping in. A double whammy that stuns him, while Dustin steps around and traps him against the cage. Now, look at what happens to Kai Asakura, right before he also gets finished. He also takes a calf kick, right as he's stepping in to throw a punch. To quote the words of a grappling icon, look into it. Interestingly, both Dustin and Horiguchi talk about how leg kicking could easily have gone the other way, if they were properly checked.
He wasn't contacting with the shin. He wasn't, like a small rotation more, I would have been paying for those kicks.
こうやればいいだけじゃないですか。外側向けるだけですよ。カイ君が痛かったんじゃないですかね。
Perhaps if Conor had done more evasion early on, or was more prepared to check, things might have been different. Who knows? Finally, what about Chandler's performance? Hooker, another member of City Kickboxing, was using a similar circling strategy that I have previously mentioned in this study. In particular, he was circling to Chandler's blind side, to avoid getting cage cut, and taken down by Chandler, a powerful wrestler. In that study, I also mentioned that hooks, to catch someone trying to flee to your blind side, could be a counter to this tactic. As it turns out, Hooker got hooked, no pun intended, trying to circle to Chandler's left, who decided to lead with his right, and come up with the left. Dan's hands were down because he completely wasn't expecting it, and got put out. What can I say, a whole bunch of hookers were out on prowl that night on Fight Island. Theorizing about strategy and counters is fun, but watching someone put stuff into practice is on a whole other level, for fight geeks like me. Alright folks, what's next for Dustin? A rematch with Justin to settle who's the biggest hooker of them all. And what about Chandler, is he ready for Khabib? Do let me know in the comments below. Check out my Patreon for a more vivid breakdown of these fights. And remember to turn on notifications for my channel, so you know when I next drop some breakdown heat. Till next time folks.
Still getting the muscle of his leg, and that part of your leg and muscle is so small and thin that you can't take many shots there.
It was an unusual one, that's for sure, where I would feel okay in sparring or something, checking that side. I felt like I lifted the leg up multiple times, but it just sunk into the muscle at the front and it was badly compromised.